Let me just quickly introduce myself. This is Neha Chauhan here. I'm a teacher expert at Cuemath with a teaching experience of more than 3 years. The subjects that I primarily teach are mathematics and reasoning, and the regions that I cater to are India and US. Now, before we start with our today's masterclass, all the parents, teachers, and if there are any children who are watching this masterclass, do get up yourself by grabbing a pen and a paper so that you jot down all the important concepts that we cover in today's masterclass. Also, that you can solve some interesting and engaging problems that we'll be having in our today's masterclass. So here we begin with our masterclass. So the first thing that we see is the table of contents so that we get to know what all are we going to cover in today's masterclass with the topic of odd one out. The first thing that we'll be covering is understanding the core concept of what odd one out is. Then we'll see some applications in our day-to-day life so that children do get a relevance of this concept and also the importance of why do they need to learn it. Then we'll have some objectives based on which on the same lines we'll be solving some interesting and engaging problems both of basic and advanced levels. And then we'll see what are the learning outcomes, that is what are the takeaways from today's masterclass. So here we begin, that is with the core concept of what odd one out is and what is its definition. So the main suggestion to all the parents and teachers here is that do not give away the polished definition of any concept straight away at the beginning of while you're starting with any chapter, any lesson or any concept, because then it becomes really very difficult for the child to process all of that information in one shot, one go. So how you can impart any concept is you give them some real life scenarios from wherein they gauge and understand what this whole concept is all about. If they're not able to solve it completely, that's absolutely fine. But at least they will get some idea, some vague idea, some relevance of it in our day-to-day life. And that will build the core or the foundation of that concept from where on we can build the whole of this concept. So coming to odd one out, if you are to start with this concept with your child or your student, I would suggest that you first give them a set of objects wherein all the objects are of one type, whereas one of them, that is one of the objects in all of those objects, is not the same as the others. And all you need to do is to ask them how or which is the one which is different from the rest of the objects that you see. So that is the first step. If they're able to figure out the one which is the odd one out, that's well and good. Then the next step becomes for asking them is to categorize those objects into different categories. That is how the major section or the major objects are of one category and which category is that, and the one which is the odd one out falls into which category. So the first step is to figure out which is the odd one out, and the second step is to categorize them into different categories. Now the best way of doing it is that you can get them a set of objects, as I said. What you can do is you can get them some fruits. Along with some fruits, you bring in one vegetable and you put everything in front of them and you ask, how is one of these different from the rest? So the first thing that they need to do is to pick the vegetable that you have brought along with the fruits, and then they should be able to figure out that there are two categories primarily here, that is fruits, which covers the majority of the objects or the items, whereas the other one is vegetables. So this brings in the knowledge of the child with respect to fruits and vegetable. And when it comes to odd one out in reasoning, it might be anything. It could be anything. It could be tools. It could be some tools that are related to kitchen, or tools which are related to plumbing or carpenting. So these are the things which they should start observing, at least if they do not know. And if they do not know is where you need to pitch in and start imparting the information, the knowledge of what these type of objects are, what are they used for, and how one is different from the other. So here we see that something or someone in a group that is different or exceptional, that does not fit with the rest of the group, is called as the odd one out. Now, as I said, one object or one person being the odd one out could be because of various reasons. It's not just one reason. It could be because of its position, its size, its reflection, so many other parameters. Because there's not just one parameter on which you can cover the concept of odd one out. We have a wide variety of questions here. It's something which is related to real life objects, something which is related to numbers, which is in maths, it could be alphabetical, it could be a lot of things, as I said. So now that we have seen some real life relevance of this concept of odd one out, that is with fruits and vegetables, it could be tools, it could be alphabets, that is consonants and vowels, or it could be numbers like even numbers or odd numbers. Here we begin with the objectives. So the first objective is to try to find something common in most of the objects or terms and try to put them under a category, which I've already mentioned. The second is the categories can be decided on the basis of shape, size, properties of geometrical figures, quantity, position, reflection, and so many other things. It's just not one thing, as I said, and it could be a lot more of things. There's a wide variety of questions that you would see in odd one out. So you cannot just stick to one category or one type of question. So now that we know what our objectives are, here we'll start with our problems. So all of the parents, teachers, and as I said, if there are any children, if you feel that you already know the answer of the questions that we are discussing here, you can put them in the comment section so that we get to know that you are understanding everything well. And if you have any doubts or any queries, you can also put them in the comment section so that we can address to all of those questions. So the first question here clearly says find the odd one out, and here are our options. Okay, so what we have is a set of numbers. Option A is 4, option B is 6, option C is 9, and option D is 10. So take a moment to look at these numbers and observe if there are 3 of them which fall into same category and which is the one which does not fit into that category. So if we would see in option A, the number is 4, which is a multiple of 2, that is, it's an even number. We can write it as 2 times 2. In option B, we have 6, which is also a multiple of 2 because it can be written as 2 times 3. So this is also an even number. 9 cannot be written as a multiple of 2. It's not an even number. We can just write it as 3 times 3. Whereas 10 again is an even number or is a multiple of 2 because we can write it as 2 times 5. So what do we see clearly here? There are 3 which are the multiples of 2 are the even numbers, whereas 9 is not an even number. It's an odd number. So the one which is the odd one out here is option C. Hoping that this question is clear to all of you, we'll be moving on to the next set of questions. Okay, so another is again find the odd one out. Again, some numbers here, but along with some operations. So it says 9 minus 4. So we can clearly do the subtraction. So again, for all the parents and teachers, it's just not the reasoning, the aptitude, but also mathematics involved here. So your child or your student should know how to subtract. If they get the subtraction right, they would be able to figure out which is the odd one out. So here we start with option A, which says 9 minus 4, and that is 5. 6 minus 1 is again 5. 8 minus 3 is again 5. And 7 minus 1 is 6. So we see that the difference in the first 3 options comes as 5, whereas in the option D it comes as 6. So clearly the one which is the odd one out here is option D. With this, we'll be moving on to our next question. Okay, so again a set of new numbers. These are a bit bigger numbers, 3-digit numbers that we see here. We have to figure out which are the odd ones out. So I'm not disclosing the options here. Any of you who can answer this question in the comment section below are most welcome. All right, so here we see our options and let's start solving this question. If we see the first number, which is 396, I write it here. If I take the first digit and the last digit, that is the digit at ones place and the digit at hundreds place, and if I add them, I get the one in the middle. That is 6 plus 3 gives us 9. Taking up the second number the same way, we have 4, 6, 2, that is 462. If I add 4 and 2, I get the number in the middle, the digit in the middle, which is 6. Going to the third number the same way, we have 572. This digit, which is 5, and digit 2, when added, give us the digit in the middle, which is 7. Going to the next number, which is 427. Okay. if I take the digit at ones place, the digit at the hundreds place, and if I add them, so 7 plus 4 is 11, and that is definitely not the digit which is in the middle. Going to the next number, which is 671. 6 and 1 when added up together gives us the sum 7, which is the digit in the middle. And going to the last number, which is 264, if I add up the digits 2 and 4, we get the digit which is in the middle at tens place, which is 6. So basically you all see that there is a particular mathematical rule which is being followed here in all the numbers except for one, which is 427. That is, the sum of the digit at the ones place and the hundreds place add up to the digit which is at the tens place. And clearly the number which does not follow this rule is 427. So the odd one out here is option B. Hoping this was a bit a tricky question, but all of you would have understood the core concept of how to solve this. We'll move on to the next question. Okay, so find the odd one in the group. And here are different set of groups that we have. We'll have to solve for all of them. We start with the first one. So all of you can, this is some interesting question. You can all keep pouring your answers in the comment section below. We start with the first one. It says we have a burger, pizza, French fries, and something to drink, maybe a lemonade. So clearly the first three are something to eat, whereas the fourth one is something to drink. So the odd one out here is the lemonade. Going to the next set of category, the next set of options that we have a pineapple, we have a strawberry, we have grapes, and we have carrot. So again, if we see, the starting three are fruits, whereas the last one, which is a carrot, is a root. So the odd one out here becomes the carrot. Going to the third set of options that we have a magical kind of a hat, a normal hat, an umbrella, another hat. So this one, and this one is something as a headgear that you wear on your head, whereas umbrella is something which you just hold and you do not wear it on your head. So the odd one out here clearly is the umbrella. Going to the next set of options, we have a bicycle, a scooter, another scooter, and a helmet. So these are something which take us from one place to another place, mode of communication. You commute from one place to other place by making use of these vehicles. These are all two-wheelers. But whereas a helmet is a safety gear that you wear to protect your head while you are driving. So the odd one out here clearly is the helmet. Going to the next set, it's very, very obvious here. You see, those are all some sea animals, sea living beings. And the three of them here are fishes, whereas the first one is the crab. And so the odd one out here is the crab. Hoping that this one was an interesting one, a lot colorful here, and you all have understood. We'll move on to the next set of questions. Okay, again, find the odd one out. So here we have a television, a book, a phone, a landline phone, and a mobile. So if you would see very clearly, and if you would observe, these three are electronic medium of communication. That is, you can communicate through these three devices electronically, wherein the book is a print media. It is not electronic at all. So the odd one out here becomes the book. So this is all what you need to give to your children and to your students. This is the information, that is how television, a landline phone, and a mobile are all electronic mediums of transferring information from one place to another, whereas book is a print media and it's not electronically used. It is just a print media which gets printed and gets distributed over a set of people, over a mass, and that's how this is different from the other. So it's just not the reasoning or the aptitude, but it's also the knowledge of understanding different mediums of transferring information from one place to another place. So with this, we'll be moving on to the next question. Again, find the odd one out. And here we have a set of alphabets. So let's see how many of you can answer this correctly. So if we observe the four alphabets, the four letters which are given here, we see that L, N and H are written or are drawn by making use of straight lines. Now those could be vertical straight lines, horizontal straight lines or slanting straight lines, whereas S does not have any single straight line in it. It is made up of curved lines. You can say this is one curve and then this is another curve. So the odd one out here clearly is option A, that is the letter S, because it is not formed of any straight line. With this, we'll move on to the next question. Okay, so here we see first option is gloves, second option is slippers, footwear, third option is socks, and fourth option is shoes. So I think most of you would have figured it by now that the last three options, that is the slippers, the socks, and the shoes, are something that you wear in your feet, whereas gloves are worn in hands. So that's how gloves are different from the rest of the three, because the rest of the three are worn in feet, whereas gloves are worn in hands. So the odd one out here is option A. Now we'll move on to our next question. And these are some advanced level questions, so you'll all find it very, very interesting and engaging. So I really want you all to get up and answer very promptly in the comment section. And yeah, and if you also have any questions and if you still have any doubts in the solutions of these questions, please do put it in the comment section and we'll be addressing to all of your queries. So it says find the odd one out. Let's see what all the options that we have. Okay, so the first one is a spoon. The second one is a bowl, the third one is a fork, and the fourth one is a hammer. So very clearly, the first three options that we have are something which we use while we are eating, you know, like it almost comes into the cutlery. That is something that you make use of while you're having your lunch, your dinner, your breakfast. Primarily, whenever you are eating, you make use of all of these. Whereas a hammer is something which which a plumber might use, or which a carpenter might use, or you also may use it, but you would definitely not use it for eating purpose. It does not get into picture of eating or lunch, breakfast, dinner, anywhere. Hammer doesn't come into picture anywhere while you are eating. So the odd one out here is the hammer. Going forward to our next question. Let's see what the options are. Okay, we have some geometrical figures here. We'll start with the first one. The first shape that you see, the outer shape, is a triangle, and that's because it has got three sides to it. And there is a circle inside the triangle, which has also been divided into three equal parts. That is, the number of sides that you have in the outer figure, those many equal parts have been made in the circle. Going to option B, we have the outer shape, a square, that is, it has got four sides, and so the circle inside it has been divided into four equal parts. Going to option C, we have the outer shape having sides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is, it is a pentagon with 5 sides, but the circle inside it, if you would see, has 4 equal parts instead of having 5 equal parts. Coming to the last option that we have, the outer figure, the outer shape has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides to it. That is, it's a hexagon, and if you would see, the circle inside it also has got 6 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 3 of them have the outer shape having certain number of sides, and those many parts are made inside the circle. Whereas only in option C, you would see that the outer shape, the outer figure is a pentagon with 5 sides, but the circle inside it has only 4 equal parts instead of having 5. So the odd one out here is option C. So moving on to the next question, we have find the odd one out. Again, we have a set of numbers as we also had in some basic level. So we'll be going through all of these numbers one by one. So we have 835, If you would add up the digits 3 and 5, you would arrive at the digit which is at hundreds place, that is 8. Taking the next number, which is 734. If you would add 3 and 4, you get the digit which is at hundreds place, which is 7. Coming to the next number, which is 642. You add 2 and 4, you get the digit 6. Coming to 751, if you would add 5 and 1, you get the digit 6 and not 7. So that is a bit different from the rest of the numbers that we have seen so far. Going to the next number again, which is 853. Adding up 3 and 5 gives us the number or the digit which is at the hundreds place, which is 8. Taking up 981, 8 and 1 do get added up to 9. 532, 3 and 2, these digits do add up to the digit 5. So the only number here in which the digits at the ones place and tens place do not add up to the digit which is there in the same number at hundreds place is the number 751, and so this is the one which is the odd one out. So the mathematical rule which got followed here, based on which we could categorize all the numbers except for one, was the digit at ones place and the tens place gets added up to the digit which is there in the same number at hundreds place. So the only number which was not following this was 751, and hence this is the odd one out here. So with this, we have the last question in our advanced level, which is the odd one out, and we see some numbers here along with the operations. So your child or your student should be really very thorough with how to make use or how to solve numbers with these operators. Taking up the first one, which says 55 minus 44, if you would do the subtraction, you would arrive at the answer which says 11. Then we have 121 divided by 11. So now this might be a bit tricky for a child who is in grade 1 and grade 2. So you can ask them to do the conventional way of dividing, that is 121 being divided by 11. So as the divisor is a 2-digit number and the dividend is a 3-digit number, you would first go in for the first 2 digits. So 11 ones are 11. You do the subtraction, you get 1. You bring down 1, and then again 11 ones are 11. You get the remainder 0, basically. And the quotient that you have got is 11. So on dividing 121 by 11, you arrive at the answer 11. Option C is 11 plus 1. It's just that you have to add 1 to 11, which is 12. Going to option D, which is 11 times 1. We're just multiplying 11 with the number 1. And so the answer becomes 11 again. So 3 of the options, after doing the mathematical operations between the numbers as it says, we got the answer as 11, whereas the only one which did not give us the answer as 11 was option C, and that gave us 12. So the odd one out here is option C. So with this, we move on to the final part of our masterclass, which is the learning outcomes. What all did we learn in our today's masterclass? The learning outcomes that we have is, we will be able to determine whether a group of objects has an even or odd number of items using a variety of problem solving methods. As I said, like when it comes to numbers, it's just not, even and odd is just an example. We may have different mathematical rules being followed, and it's a question to question basis kind of a rule. It's not something which is general, which you can generalize. It is something that you need to observe, and gradually as you would solve a lot of these type of problems extensively, you would build that knack of arriving at the answer, observing these things very, very quickly. And because the quicker you observe things, the faster you will be arriving at the answers. And the second bullet point definitely says that to identify the category in which a particular object belongs to, and how do you separate them. So as I here mentioned that, you know, we saw certain type of questions here, like 1, 1, 2, 2 questions of each type. Just solving these many questions will not help. It will just give you an idea of what sort of questions to expect in Math Olympiads, talent searches, or some quizzes. But it's very important part is the extensive rigorous practice, which you would only be getting when you have a set of good exercises with some good level of questions, which are grade relevant, and which student can work on. So you can also go through our TUCO course, the TUCO curriculum course that we have, which you get while you register yourself for the TUCO, which is the Ultimate Cuemath Olympiad 2020. And you can extensively work, you can make your child extensively work on all of these concepts. And there are sheets, there are sheets, there are practice sheets, there are extra practice sheets. So the more you practice, the more you build that knack of solving the problem, and the faster you're able to solve those problems. So yeah, so with this, we have mostly covered our today's masterclass. So as we all saw in today's masterclass, how logical reasoning inculcates the ability to think logically in a child, they start thinking in an innovative manner. They also strive to get to the answer in the shortest possible way. And this is exactly how a student gets trained by a Cuemath expert, and all of it is being provided in Olympiad masterclasses by Cuemath. So with this, I would like to introduce the TUCO registration forms. Every student who wishes to take up the real-time Olympiad examination by Cuemath, please go ahead and click on the link given in the description box below. The registration amount for TUCO is rupees 200 only, and the benefits that you get on registering for TUCO is that you get a complete course curriculum to prepare for it, which is worth rupees 5,000. So every time we have a masterclass, an Olympiad masterclass as we had today, which is scheduled, you can join us there and then later can work on extensive sheets on the same topic through the course curriculum provided when you register for TUCO. So make sure you do not delay and register yourself to get the most out of the curriculum worth rupees 5,000 just for rupees 200. And with this, we'll be